Hello, everyone. My name is Valerie Stimmick-Bailey from the travel blog Valerie in Belize. It is the blog that can help you plan your Alaska trip in 2025 or some other time in the future. And if you are watching this video, you are likely doing research for your trip and are super curious about this area called the Mat-Su Valley. And I am so excited to have Justin with me today because we've never had the Mat-Su Valley in the seminar series. So I've been doing this for a few years, and the Mat-Su Valley is in the process of a really exciting set of updates that I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit about. But yeah, I can't wait to share more. I can't wait to learn more and have Justin share more. Couple notes before we get started. The first one is this has been pre-recorded. So if you have questions while you're watching this, you can put them in the comments below this video. I review them. If I don't know the answer, I reach out to Justin or someone on his team. You will see some Q&A. Those were pre-collected in my community. So there will also be some links in the caption for ways you can join the community in case you want more support and advice. And yeah, let's just jump right in. Let's get into the Mat-Su Valley. Justin, let's have you take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Valerie. And we already miss you up here. It was so fun to have you visit us here, just a couple of months ago in the Mat-Su region. And that was a blast to get to know you a little better. And you need to come back soon. So the Mat-Su Valley, the big question we get from a lot of people is, where exactly is the Mat-Su Valley? And it's a valid question. It is a region the size of West Virginia. It's huge. It's just north of Anchorage. And the tricky thing is when you pull open your maps, most maps won't label it as the Mat-Su Valley, but it will be sure to include all of the community names on the map. So a lot of people may recognize our region by the names of the communities that are in there, like Talkeetna, Palmer, where the Alaska State Fair is. Willow is where the Iditarod Trail sled dog race restarts. But it is a huge, huge region. Mat-Su is actually a name that comes from two of the major rivers in the Mat-Su Valley, the Matanuska and the Susitna rivers. So that's where that kind of comes from. The locals will call it Mat-Su for short because Matanuska-Susitna Valley is a mouthful. But that's us. It's huge. It's about 23,000 square miles. But the population is about 115,000 people total. So even though it's the size of West Virginia, we're about 6% of the population of West Virginia. So it's a whole lot of wild, wide open, untamed country, and very accessible and easy and fun to explore. So yeah, I mentioned a few of the communities. They're spread all over the place. You can drive up to 2, 3, 4 hours inside of the Mat-Su Valley and not see all of these communities. It's just a huge place to have to try and process and digest here. And there are a lot of things. There's just a lot of reasons that people come to the Mat-Su region. What can you do in the Mat-Su Valley? There's just a plethora. I mean, it's the sky's the limit. You can go horseback riding, ATVing, zip lining, skiing, snowshoeing, dog mushing, flight seeing. You can go explore glacier caves, jet boat tours, guided fishing, aurora viewing, gold panning, kayaking, rafting, mountain biking, wildlife viewing. Enjoy farm-to-table dining, taste local ales in our microbreweries, visit the muskox farm, the reindeer farm, Independence Mine, watching the start of the Iditarod sled dog race, taking in local community festivals, attending the Alaska State Fair. The list goes on. There's just a plethora of things to do. In fact, many of the activities that bring people to Alaska are things that you can participate in the Mat-Su Valley. A lot of folks realize that more than half of their plans that they've already made are for activities and sites and attractions that are inside of the Mat-Su Valley. So there's just a lot to do and a lot to process. How do we make an efficient plan to visit the Mat-Su Valley with all of these activities and so much of an area to see? It can feel kind of overwhelming. So what we like to do when we speak to visitors is we like to kind of break the Mat-Su Valley up into smaller, easier to process regions. So think of it kind of as a you guys remember the dinner plates that our moms would give us when we were kids that, you know, had little dividers to keep your peas from touching your mashed potatoes, which of course is a terrible, unforgivable sin. But that's what this kind of reminds me of. The Mat-Su Valley is, we've broken it into these smaller regions. You won't find any of these region names on the map. They're not geographical, they're not political boundaries, but giving these smaller sections of the Mat-Su Valley names after the points of interest that you can find in those regions kind of helps us decide where we want to spend most of our time. So what I'm going to do in this slideshow is just kind of highlight each of these regions by themselves, and we can kind of break things down into why you'd visit, what you might like to do in those specific regions. And then Valerie's right, we do have some fun news for you here at the end of the slideshow. So the first region I'll talk about here is Glacier Country. And Glacier Country is the first region that you would enter in the Mat-Su Valley if you were coming up from Anchorage. It's only about 40 miles north of Anchorage. And main communities consist of Palmer, Sutton, Chickaloon, Glacier View, and Lake Louise. It's known for its agricultural history. The Alaska State Fair, that's where this takes place. And the major natural attractions include Matanuska Glacier and also Knik Glacier. So this is the Matanuska, some pictures of the Matanuska Glacier here. It's up in the community of Glacier View. There's a commanding overlook of the Matanuska Glacier as you drive northward on the Glen Highway. The Glen Highway, I think on most maps, is marked as Highway 3. There's a pullout along the highway with interpretive signs and restroom facilities, and visitors who plan extra time in Glacier View can also enjoy guided trekking tours on the ice, or take a helicopter tour over the ice and visit some of the blue melt pools. If you come to visit the Mat-Su Valley in the wintertime, which is actually quite popular, you can experience something that's very unique and very well, it's unique to the winter time, especially being able to visit the melt channels inside of the glacier. So this lower left image that you're seeing here, this is actually full of water in the summer, these channels. But when they freeze, they empty out and freeze in the wintertime, you can actually go inside and explore some of these ice caves. So it's a very, very popular thing to do in the wintertime. We're not seeing things. Folks are actually suiting up and paddle boarding on these melt pools on these glaciers. Now, this glacier is actually the Knik Glacier, a little further south from the Matanuska Glacier, and this is closer to the community of Palmer in an area called the Knik River Valley. So this glacier is actually accessible with just an hour drive outside of Anchorage. So this could be a day trip. If you're staying in Anchorage, you could come into the Mat-Su Valley and experience this glacier. There are so many activities in the Knik River Valley. You can access the glacier by ATV, helicopter. There are ice climbing, guided ice climbing tours out there at the Knik Glacier, paddle boarding like you see here. Just a lot of fun to a lot of ways to kind of have an immersive experience out there at the Knik. So if we back out of the Knik River Valley just a little bit, where the Matanuska River that feeds from the Matanuska Glacier and the Knik River kind of converge there, that's where you'll find the community of Palmer, and that's the town that hosts the Alaska State Fair. The Alaska State Fair, if you're coming up in late August, early September, is an amazing event. It's a lot of fun, carnival rides, great food. This is where we weigh off and compete to break world records with vegetables that are grown in this region. So it's a very fertile region, and with the endless sunlight that we enjoy here in the summertime, some of these vegetables can get pretty big. I think the world record cabbage grown up here was 138 pounds. And you can come and actually watch them weigh these. They bring a forklift and they'll weigh these vegetables, and they do it in the big old arena with an audience there. So it's a big draw. The Alaska State Fair is a fun thing for residents and visitors alike. So if you are coming in late August, circle this one. This one's a fun event. A lot of other activities in the Glacier Country region in Palmer. They include visiting the muskox farm, the reindeer farm, agriculture. Other farm tours and agriculture tours exist out there. We've got 3 microbreweries in the area. Farm to table dining is very popular. Very fun region to visit, and a good place to plan activities if you decide you're going to stay a night in Anchorage and then kind of do day trips up into the Mat-Su Valley at first, the glacier country will probably be where most of your activities will take place. So moving just a little bit north of there is our smallest region that I'm highlighting today. So this is what we call Gold Rush country, and this consists primarily of Hatcher Pass inside the Talkeetna Mountains. So this whole region is very mountainous, but there is a road that loops up into Hatcher Pass and down the west side out toward a community called Willow. But it summits over Hatcher Pass, and there's a lot of wonderful mining history back there, ski trails and hiking trails. This is also the location of the Mat-Su Valley's only chairlift ski area out there. So it's really fun region to visit. Here are a couple of photos of the experiences you can have in the Hatcher Pass area. The hiking is phenomenal. Very, very Alaska-esque, very mountainous, just crystal clear streams, and wildlife like this hoary marmot here. You'll definitely see wildlife as you hike around up in there. And keep your eyes peeled as you're looking around in the Hatcher Pass area, as you're exploring some of the trails and the areas there. You'll see remnants of old mining claims and mining activity from bygone years, especially if you visit a place further up into Hatcher Pass called Independence Mine. And that's what we're looking at here. You can tell that a lot of the buildings have been restored and or preserved here, but you can park and actually walk through paved trails in Independence Mine and explore. There are interpreted signs there that talk about the history of this place, but it's a huge attraction for people who come to Hatcher Pass. Most people won't visit Hatcher Pass and bypass this particular spot. This is a state recreation area, very well kept, and just a beautiful place to visit. A little further up the elevation from Independence Mine is a place called Summit Lake. It's a little icy looking here, but in most of the summer, I think the ice clears out, and that's very glassy water. But this is also a great spot to look for Alaska's ptarmigan, like you see here. They are masters of camouflage. So we've got rock scree slopes like you can see in that photograph, and they'll hide in those rocks. You can almost step on these birds before you notice them. They really like to hold still and hide in those rocks. So keep your eyes peeled for wildlife there as well. Summit Lake is a great location for some nice panoramic photos, family photos, selfies. It's just the views are endless from that vantage point. And then we'll move a little bit further west from glacier country and from Gold Rush country, and we'll move into the lake country region of the Mat-Su Valley, and the communities here are Wasilla, Big Lake, and Houston. Because this area has a lot of lakes and streams here, it's very well known for fishing. Fishing is an experience you can enjoy in most of the regions in the Mat-Su Valley, but we do have several guides in this area that are ready to get you out there on the water, winter or summer. The ice fishing out here is loads of fun. So that's a popular attraction for this particular region. This is where the Iditarod Trail Race sled dog race headquarters is located. It's a great spot for overnight accommodations. If you want to stage your Mat-Su Valley activities here, you'll find great accommodations here: dining, brewing, retail. This is a great place to kind of stage and then branch out and do activities from here if you want to stay in the Mat-Su Valley during your Alaska vacation. So yeah, the fishing is off the hook, pardon the pun, but you can go fly fishing, stream fishing here, jump in a boat with a guide and head up and get that salmon. I'll share our website address here a little bit later, but we have a lot of information on the salmon fishing up in this region on our website, and we share when you can plan your visit to fish certain types of salmon up here, certain types of fish. You can fish for all 5 species of salmon if you book your trip at the right time. So we like to help folks with that. Here are a couple of shots of the Iditarod Trail Race headquarters. This is a great place to visit and kind of get more acquainted with this race. It's a very historical and fun traditional event up here in Alaska, very popular with residents. But we have mushers that participate in this event from around the world. They love to come out. The dogs love to run. And this is a great place to kind of come and learn about that event and understand how it started. And yeah, it's a great place. So a lot of people might not think this at first as they're planning their Alaska vacations, but you don't have to put your golf game aside to come visit us. You certainly can come tee off here in the Mat-Su Valley. This is one of the most popular golf resorts in our area here in the Lake Country region. And because of in the summertime, because of the midnight sun, some of the tee times out here in these golf resorts are quite late into the evening. If you haven't teed off under the midnight sun, make plans to do so. The views from these greens are amazing, and it's a lot of fun to do a little evening golfing out here. Okay, so we're going to go a little further north. This is a region that I think most of us kind of know about. We're very familiar with this, or at least we've got this on our radar, right? When we're coming to Alaska, what we certainly want to check off is that exposure to Denali, North America's tallest peak. This is where you're going to be able to do that. So the communities in Denali country consist of Willow, Talkeetna, and Trapper Creek. Once you get into Willow, your views of Denali are just spectacular from the road. This whole region has pullouts along the highway, a state park, Denali State Park, that offers excellent views of Denali itself. And the town of Talkeetna has a very fun mining history and climbing culture there that a lot of people like to experience. So Denali State Park, just south along the southern border of Denali National Park, is actually a fantastic place to get good views of Denali. Because it's so big, the closer you get to Denali National Park, the closer you get to the mountain itself, the more impeded your views become. So your better views of this mountain are actually from a little further south, from the Mat-Su Valley region. The Denali State Park has wonderful trails, wonderful view sheds and vantage points, great interpretive signs there. If you've got the time, be sure to stop at Byers Lake in that park. There's a trail that goes all the way around the lake. And you can even make the time to rent or take a kayaking tour on Byers Lake. So it's a beautiful place to visit. So just south of Talkeetna is a community called Willow, and that's where the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race begins. Great winter event, lots of fun to come out to that if you're coming in the winter, but you don't necessarily have to be here during the cold months to experience the dog mushing culture, which is very strong in the Willow community. In fact, a lot of people refer to Willow as the sled dog capital of the world. And let me try and explain how they got that title. If you pull out into a community in Willow and just step out of your car, around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you're going to hear multiple teams of dogs barking like crazy because it's mealtime. It's not because they're out on the trail or they're going to come running down the road anytime soon. It's because you're in the middle of a community with multiple active working kennels, and it's time for dinner, and those dogs know it. So you'll hear lots of happy barking in the evening time in Willow. Most of the kennels in Willow don't even race and compete in the Iditarod. They maintain active kennels just for the fun of it. It's a great lifestyle. The culture is wonderful. The winter trails in that area are a lot of fun. And so a lot of people will keep teams of dogs just to enjoy that aspect of life here in the Mat-Su Valley. So flight seeing, I hope, is on everybody's bucket list when they come up to Alaska. And in the Mat-Su Valley, the flight seeing tours of Denali itself are exceptional. Most of the flights, the best flights of Denali National Park take off out of Talkeetna. Talkeetna is where most of the climbing expeditions will prepare and stage and get ready, and then they'll take air taxis up to base camp to start their expeditions up Denali. You don't have to be an experienced climber to jump onto one of these planes, though. They have regular daily flights out to Denali itself, and they even include glacier landings like you see in this lower right-hand picture here. So be sure to ask when you're looking at options for flight seeing tours, ask for a glacier landing, ask for details about that. It is an otherworldly experience to step out of that plane up in those higher elevations and just kind of get that panoramic view of how large everything is up there. It's just a beautiful big region and wonderful to see by air. So our last section, our last region in the Mat-Su Valley is called Off the Beaten Path. And it's this section I just highlighted here, this green section, which is actually the largest region in the Mat-Su Valley. But Off the Beaten Path is not accessed by road. Most of this region is completely wild, undeveloped, but it doesn't mean it's inaccessible completely. A lot of the activities, wilderness lodges and fishing trips can be accessed by plane or by boat out here. And the experience it's a fun experience for people who are looking for that pure Alaska outdoor wilderness experience. Guided fishing, ATV tours, snow machines, snowmobile tours in the wintertime take place out and off the beaten path. Wilderness lodges like these that you see here are situated next to mountain lakes or even right along that Iditarod Trail. So these are great places to go if you're looking to unplug, turn off the phone, get away from absolutely everything, and just connect with Alaska. So I do have a few more tips for visiting our region. Number one is plan extra days, 2 to 3 nights or more. And the reason that I recommend that is because it is a big area, and a lot of the activities that you may want to do can be separated by some driving time. And the more time that you spend, the more nights that you give yourself in the Mat-Su Valley, the more that you can experience and enjoy here. And when it comes to driving time, make sure that a good rule of thumb is to limit your daily driving to maybe 2 or 3 hours so that you're not exhausted when you get where you're going. Front load your weather dependent activities. So I mentioned that flight seeing experience out in Talkeetna. If you've got a couple of days, make sure that you try to book your flight seeing or other weather dependent activities on your first day, so that if what Mother Nature has something to say, you have the option of postponing it to your second or to your third day. So that's always a good rule of thumb. Pack layers. That's what we all do. We wear layers here, and so you'll fit right in with the rest of us. The weather can change. You can, if your tour starts on a rainy day or a little bit of cloudy overcast, stay positive, because in an hour or less, you could have clear open skies. So it's good to have an extra layer or windbreaker in your backpack ready to go. So one last thing while I share this slide, this is all of our information, how to stay connected with us. We're the Mat-Su Convention and Visitors Bureau. We are determined to help everybody out who comes to our area. We would love to connect with each of you and talk to you about your plans when you visit our region. So do make sure you contact us often. We love working with you. This is a picture, and I hope you guys don't mind me sharing this. This is a little self-serving of me. I'm an avid birder. I'm crazy about it. This is a photograph of a golden-crowned sparrow, which you can see almost everywhere, especially up in the hills in our region in the summertime. And our Alaska Native neighbors here in our region have taught me a little bit about this bird. I think it's the Denali word for this bird is Tsik-Isla. And Tsik-Isla is the onomatopoeic name for this bird. This bird's call is kind of a 3-note descending call. Forgive me, guys. Here I go. It's dee dee dee. But our natives will call it Tsik-Isla. So that's how it got its name. But the neat story about this bird is that it's a good omen. It's good news to see the golden crowned sparrow come back into the region, because it means that very soon the salmon will start running into the streams. So they look at this bird as a good omen. And we welcome everybody to this region. Hope you guys will come visit us. That's a good omen for us, and it'll be a great experience for you. The good news that we have to share is that very soon here, in fact, hopefully breaking ground next year, is Mat-Su Convention and Visitors Bureau's new visitor center called the Gateway Visitor Center. And this will be a nice central hub location, a good resource for visitors to come and learn more about what there is to do, and get some help and some help with your plans as you come visit our area. So we're looking forward to that. Pretty excited. And yeah, I guess that's all from me, and happy to answer some questions if I can.
Absolutely. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. And funny, if you're watching the video and you see me looking down, I'm taking notes too, because the funny story, Justin, while you get the slides to turn off so we can see each other's faces a little bit, is that I was just in the Mat-Su as part of a trip that I took in September 2024. And I was astonished at how much the area has developed since I grew up in Alaska. So when I grew up there, Wasilla and Palmer, really much like the community I grew up in, Eagle River, very much local communities. There wasn't necessarily a big tourism infrastructure. There were certainly things to do in the Mat-Su, but the entirety of the Mat-Su, which most people don't realize, first of all, how big it is, or that it stretches as like far north and as far east as it does, has so much more to support visitors. And so the visitor center, which you and I talked about when I was actually up there, it's such an exciting development because it really starts to put the Mat-Su on the map as a destination rather than a drive-through area. So yeah, I'm very excited for 2026 video when you and I will be back talking about this visitor center and when people can expect it to open, because it is currently scheduled for sometime in 2026.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's a caveat. That's the current timeline, but hopefully by this time next year, we will have an update on that. Yeah, and so that's probably why, if you were just looking at that last slide, you don't see a physical address for a visitor center because it's in the works currently. Best way to get in touch, obviously, is website, email, phone, much like any of the other destinations if you're watching any of the other videos. So yeah, let's jump into Q&A because we had some great questions and I want to make sure that we cover them. And okay, I will caveat, I kind of annotate all the questions when I ask them to you, so this is much more casual. I understand that as a representative of the entire region, you can't necessarily call out any specific places that like as favorites. But if you want to point people to where they can find this information on the Mat-Su's alaskavisit.com, that's a great option too.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about some of this. Where to eat is such a great question to ask, and there are some wonderful options. You're right, Valerie. Anywhere you go, you're going to find some great farm-to-table options. Like I said, Palmer's got my mother-in-law's favorite restaurant is located in Palmer, but just excellent fresh food there. If you're staying in Talkeetna, you will not struggle to find an amazing, unforgettable place to eat there. Yeah, a lot of options. And if you go to our website on alaskavisit.com, I believe it's under things to do. There are some options in the navigation there for dining or breweries as well. So yeah. Yeah,
I had a chance to sample a little bit of a Palmer side when I was there, and I'm astounded. This question for Brittany comes, he says non-foodies, but there's plenty of great options that even if you aren't a foodie, you will be blown away. Yeah, great options all over. Okay, here's another one. And this is another one this is focused more on glacier country. So Linda's curious, and I think I know the answer, but I wanted an official answer. Are there any farms that you can visit without a third-party tour, or how does that work to visit the farms in that part of the valley?
Yeah, I think I understand the nature of that question. There are some outfits here that will, you can book a tour with them. You jump on their Sprinter van and they kind of take you around. But if you want to just kind of do it on your own, there are options. A very popular place to go is the reindeer farm in the Palmer area, out in what they call the Butte area, just outside of Palmer. The reindeer farm is just a wonderful place to go. The muskox farm, I think I'd mentioned that. That's another great place to visit. Muskoxen are actually a prehistoric creature and have kind of a neat niche in our culture here in this region as well. They actually harvest the undercoat of this animal, the wool, or the kiviut is the proper name for it, which is warmer than wool, and they actually use that to knit things with. So you can visit either of those on your own. There's another one out in the Butte area near the reindeer farm called the Pioneer Peak Farm, Pyra's Pioneer Peak Farm. That's one that I believe you can go visit on your own. And they may have some, don't quote me on this, but I think they may have some options for like you-pick experiences there. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, if you are coming to the valley, plan on visiting a farm. That's our shtick here. That's what we do. So yeah. Yeah, amazing. So I don't know if anyone can tell, but I will kind of highlight, I'm wearing the earrings I got at the muskox farm.
Which is kind of by chance. I have so many pairs of Alaskan earrings. I was like, I could wear a pair for every destination. But yeah, these are the ones. So not only, I mean, Kiviot's amazing, an amazing product. Tends to be on the high end of most people's budgets. But the Muskox Farm, I mean, I haven't been to the reindeer farm, but the Muskox Farm has lovely other souvenirs too, which brings me into my next question that comes from Lisa about souvenirs. Anywhere you want to call out, anywhere you want to direct people to kind of get their feet on the ground for some really cool souvenirs?
Yeah, well, you don't have to hunt. You certainly don't have to hunt. The first thing that comes to top of mind is if you are visiting Talkeetna, there's a main, somebody might slap me for calling it the main drag, but there's a main street in Talkeetna that you won't miss. You can't miss. And if you visit Talkeetna, there are several shops there, several gift shops with wonderful souvenirs. If you'd like to take home some art, you know, Alaska art, you can find a lot of that here too. The hotels will have gift shops, but I believe that the Muskox Farm has a nice gift shop. Is that where you got the earrings, Valerie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a great question. And I think that most of the time when you go to the different communities here in the Mat-Su Valley, you're going to find options for that. Not just gift shops, but a lot of authentic things that were created here.
Yeah. One other place I'll call out, and it's going to bring me into my next question. This is by chance. I didn't plan the order of questions this way. Is that the Independence State Mine Historical Park has a gift shop that has some really neat items in it. So if you're going to be going up into Hatcher Pass, that's another option. Kind of quirky stuff too. Like I think they have a cribbage board. They have some ghost books, mining history. Anyway, on to the next question. This comes from Raj. And this is an interesting question because I don't know that I think they're different. So I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit more about Hatcher Pass, their area, and the fact that you can access it from two sides and how those two sides are quite different.
Yeah, they are pretty different. And it's tough for me to pick one. You know, personally, I think that the drive, the whole entire drive up and over, whatever direction you take, the whole entire drive is worth doing. I think the more popular approach to Hatcher Pass is from the Palmer side, because it makes for a great day trip out of Anchorage. And most of the accommodation, the more popular accommodations in that lower part of the region are either Wasilla or Palmer. And so kind of people will funnel into Hatcher Pass from those communities. But it certainly isn't the only way that you should go. In fact, if you're staying in Talkeetna and kind of moving south, but want to plug in a couple of trips, a couple of day trips coming south from Talkeetna, then maybe the Willow side is your best bet. I think that the Willow side is very picturesque. It follows a crystal clear river, just like the Palmer side does as you're trailing up through Hatcher Pass there. Gorgeous views of the hills, mining remnants and claims that you can see up on the hills with their mining tailings coming out of the mines. You'll see that on either side. So yeah, definitely plan the entire drive through. On the Willow side, you'll find activities like kennel tours. So dog sled kennels will actually do guided tours. And even in the summertime, they'll do sled dog rides on their wheeled training carts to keep these dogs in good shape and ready for the winter. So you can be a part of that. So there are those options on the Willow side, ATV tours on the Willow side. And then coming up the Palmer side, there are just a plethora of great maintained trails with interpretive signs on that end. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, better is a tough one to say because they're different. They're both incredible, and if you can do the whole pass, that's the best way because you'll see both. And I want to call out that while you were chatting, if you're watching this video, you might have noticed a little pop-up in the upper part of the video because I actually have a video driving the entirety of Hatcher Pass to give you a sense of what it's like. So I condensed an hour drive into about 5.5 minutes with little call outs of different scenes that you can see along the way. So if you're curious, once you finish this video, watch that video. It'll give you a sense and you can see how very different they are. And hopefully it'll sell you on getting a rental car that's approved for Hatcher Pass and then doing the entire drive. Okay, one more question for you. This one comes from Tracy. And I've been chatting with Tracy because for 2025, she's planning an RV trip. So she's just kind of like checking out which communities really suit RV travelers. And I know everywhere on the road system can handle RV travelers, but what particular resources, amenities, parking areas are there in the valley that you would advise people, or what resources do you have on the website?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be difficult to plan, and let's just cut the fluff here. I mean, you're going to need sometimes you'll need electricity, you'll need hookups, you'll need to find a place where you can dump. And I don't think that you'll struggle to find that as you're traveling through the Mat-Su Valley. I don't suppose you'd need to worry, oh shoot, if I go too far out, am I going to have to double back to where those resources are? Palmer has excellent, well-maintained RV parks with all of those resources. Talkeetna has a nice RV park with all of those resources. And I think outside of RV parks itself, you'll also find that a lot of the pullouts I mentioned along the highways, the view sheds are going to be very big rig friendly because they actually accommodate motor coach tours that frequent the Parks Highway going up towards Denali National Park. So a lot of those pullouts and regions are going to have huge sweeping pull-through drives for larger vehicles. So I think it's very accommodating here for RV travel. If you want more information, we actually have a partner here called RVing to Alaska, and they have a huge Facebook group. And I have to ask Stacy to forgive me because I can't remember how many followers they have on their Facebook group, but it's just thousands of people part of this RVing to Alaska community who just share tips all the time. They actually stay connected with each other as they're traveling through our region. And that's an excellent resource to plug into, both for the planning of and then the execution of your trip through the Mat-Su Valley. That's just a really good support group.
Nice. Thank you. I did not know about that. So actually, you'll see another pop-up box that I will add with a link over to that community. Make it super easy for everyone. Okay, so I will wrap it up here. I just have to say that I hope if you have watched this video, if you've made it this far, if you're still with us, you are sold on spending a little extra time, that more than you were planning in the Mat-Su Valley, because as you can see, there is so much more here than the highway system might initially lead you to believe, or the guides that you might find. I mean, even I will admit this, my own resources on the Mat-Su Valley are not as extensive as I would like. So that's why I was really excited to do this video and start to build that out for visitors, because I believe this is a destination that's coming up. I think I said when I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, Anchorage needs to watch out because the Mat-Su is getting cool, which is like, that's just not the way that I felt about the Mat-Su when I was growing up, but it's exciting. It's not a bad thing. It's great to have more places to go. So anyway, oh, one more question. I forgot to do this. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. I would love to be able to reach out to Justin and get more answers for you. If there's something we didn't cover, if you have a specific way of traveling that we didn't get to, we want to answer those questions. We want to help you make it happen. So get those questions into the comments. You will also find in the caption, there are all the links to the Mat-Su Valley's website, social media channels, etc. So you can very easily connect with them if you want information and support directly from the team there. And then also the resources that I have on my own blog are available in the caption as well. And with that, I will wrap things up and say thank you so much, Justin. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time to teach us more about the Mat-Su Valley.
Thank you.